Number 10. Terrence Howard. The actor is known for his captivating intensity on screen, and has certainly won him over with fans when he starred as Lucius on Empire, but sometimes art imitates life, and Howard's domineering character was very much a reflection of the actor behind him. His violent tendencies were pretty well hidden from the public eye until 2009, when the Smoking Gun reported that about 10 years prior, the actor was arrested for viciously beating up his estranged wife, Lori McComas. Lori dialed 911 after Howard threatened her over the phone, saying that he was going to come over and hurt her, but it was too late because before the police arrived, he had already broken down the front door of her house and attacked her, punching her in the face multiple times. The actor was charged and pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, but the incident wasn't a one-off. In 2000, Howard reportedly attacked a flight attendant for asking him to return to his seat because the seatbelt sign was on, and in 2005 he attacked a couple at a diner because they were seated before him. In the years following, he allegedly harmed multiple intimate partners in some of the worst ways possible, but it was a long time before any of these incidents got in the way of his career. Number 9. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was a star of Terminator who eventually became the governor of California, so he definitely belongs in the world of the rich and famous. But few people know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a very different person out of the spotlight. While he was married to veteran NBC journalist Maria Shriver since 1986, allegations of Arnold's behavior slowly began to surface, and suddenly his political career was facing ruin. In 2003, 15 women came forward claiming that the actor had them during his run for the California governor's seat. Then came the damage control. In an interview with Peter Jennings from ABC News, he tried to deny the accusations and insisted that no one ever came to him in his life and told him, "I don't want you to do that, and you went over the line." In fact, he went on to suggest that the women had actually timed the allegations specifically to match up with his campaign. But it gets worse. In 2011, an explosive Los Angeles Times report was published, revealing that Arnold had fathered a child with the family's housekeeper in the late 90s. It's safe to say that his marriage imploded because Maria filed for divorce on June the 2nd that same year. Number 8. Lea Michele. The actress and singer was the face of the hit TV musical Glee, playing the character we all love to hate, Rachel Berry. Her on-screen persona was harsh to say in the least, and could be extremely cruel when it comes to getting what she wants. But in terms of her overly ambitious character, it was actually a portrayal of how Lea was in real life, although she did an excellent job of keeping that hidden. It was in June of 2020, after the actress tweeted her support for Black Lives Matter, that she started being exposed for her true nature. Her former Glee co-star Samantha Ware called her out for hypocrisy, claiming that Lea made her time on set a living hell and threatened to defecate in her wig. Heather Morris also came out with her own allegations, quote, "Was she unpleasant to work with? Very much so. For Lea to treat others with the disrespect that she did for as long as she did, I believe she should be called out." Actor Keith Powell tweeted, quote, "Lea Michele is a terrible human and has said terrible things to many types of people, including racist microaggressions about black people." In light of the accusations of racism and bullying being made, the actress was then dropped from her partnership with the company HelloFresh and deactivated her Twitter account. Number 7. George Michael. His talents as a singer, songwriter, and music producer made George Michael one of the world's biggest selling artists. He has sold more than 100 million albums throughout a career spanning almost 4 decades. But behind all of his success as a musician, George had a hidden life. In 1998, after he was arrested for alleged lewd acts in a public restroom, the star came out as gay. He told CNN, quote, "This is as good of a time as any. I want to say that I have no problem with people knowing that I'm in a relationship with a man." After years of refusing to be drawn on speculation about his sexuality, this was a very big deal for the singer. But he made no qualms about admitting how hiding his sexuality for so many years had taken a serious toll on his mental health. In fact, the singer suffered from severe depression after his partner died in 1993 from an AIDS-related illness, and only a few years later he also lost his mother. It was extremely sad that it took him such a long time to live authentically, but he eventually became well known for his outspoken views in support of gay rights, using his arrest as a platform to highlight the prejudices within society. Number 6. Tiger Woods. Even if you're not a fan of golf, you definitely know who Tiger Woods is, one of the biggest international sports stars of the last 2 decades. In 2009, he became the first athlete to earn $1 billion through a combination of prize money and sponsorships. He seriously had it all: a model wife, 2 kids, and of course fame and fortune. But in the same year, the National Enquirer accused him of having an affair with a nightclub manager, and Woods crashed his car into a neighbor's tree at 2:25 a.m. Why the reckless driving? Well, rumors circulated that his wife had learned about the affair and attacked him in their home, which made him too disorientated to drive. Over the next few months, many more women came forward claiming to have slept with Woods during the 8 years he was with her. He eventually caved to the immense backlash and issued a televised statement in 2010 admitting to everything. But it was way too late, and his marriage was over, and some of his biggest endorsements were pulled because of the scandal.
Halfway through at number 5, Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is one of the most coveted directors in Hollywood, and his origin story, if you will, is one of the most unbelievable tales. Basically, the story goes that he was 21 and he snuck into the Universal Studios lot, found a vacant studio, and basically became a squatter there. He pretended to work there for months until he got caught, but then his film career took off from there. But there seems to be some discrepancies with his story, mostly concerning his age in that tale. Though he recounts that this happened in 1969 when he was 21, it turns out that if his birth date is correct and he was actually born in 1946, this means that he was actually 22 or 23 at the time. But on the other hand, he's also said that his time of sneaking into the Universal lot took place in 1965, and that means that he was 17 at the time, which really means that he was 18 or 19. Basically, the bottom line here is no one knows what happened and at what time and how old he was then. I think he's stuck in a time loop, honestly. There's just too many dates and times to keep track of. At 4, Nicki Minaj. Rapper Nicki Minaj is another celeb who's lied about how old she really is. For a long time, she had us believing that she was born in 1984, but turns out she's actually 2 years older and was actually born in 1982. Her age discovery actually happened in a similar way to J-Lo. Nicki was arrested in 2011, but when she was brought in by police and had to record the incident at hand, it was then that her real age was revealed, showing that she was 2 years older than she said she was. I think she lied about being younger to appeal to her demographic, since her music and her image was so colorful and upbeat. Her career was still fairly new, so marketing herself to the right audience was still important. But still, only 2 years? 2 years really isn't that much of a difference. Coming in at number 3, Rebel Wilson. After a high school photo of the actress resurfaced, Rebel was forced to come clean about her age. Although she had been claiming to be 29, the source revealed that she was actually 36. That's a pretty big jump, but you wouldn't have believed it if she didn't say anything. One of Rebel's former classmates was actually the one to call her out for lying. She said that the actress was born in 1979 and graduated high school in 97. Rebel came out saying that she felt hurt when she was called out. She also went on to say that in the film industry, a lot of people face ageism and sexism, so she wanted to seem younger in order to avoid this. She was so cheesed that she even took the publication who leaked her age to court and won just over $3 million for the defamation case because she claimed that the leak cost her jobs because of her age. In at number 2, Nelly. Rapper Nelly really bamboozled a lot of people when the truth came out about his age. Back in 2003, Nelly was included in Teen People's list of the hottest stars under 25. Obviously, to be eligible for this list, you have to be under the age of 25. That's kind of a given. So Nelly and his representatives told the publication that Nelly was 22 at the time, and so he was accepted and put on the list. Later on, it was discovered that he lied about his age to get into the publication, but this was not a little lie. Oh no. Instead of being 22 like he said, he was actually 28. That's a big jump. If you're gonna lie about your age on that list, I'd understand if you were like, oh, I'm 24, but you're actually 25. Like, that's not a big deal. But to go from like, oh, I graduated high school 4 years ago to I'm almost 30 is a big ol' stretch. Finally in at number 1, Mila Kunis. Mila Kunis has been known to lie about her age from time to time, but one instance when she lied about her age where it actually paid off was back when she auditioned for That 70s Show. When she auditioned, the producers asked her age, and she told them that she was going to turn 18. What they didn't know was that she was actually 14 at the time. That's a pretty big age gap when you think about the fact that she was claiming to be almost a legal adult when she was actually an 8th grader. Mila's argument for justifying her lie was that she was turning 18, but she never said when. She would eventually turn 18, but that was just gonna be a little bit longer than they assumed. I mean, she's not wrong, but still. Obviously, this lie worked out in her favor as she booked the role, but man, it's a good thing she didn't get in much trouble for this. Kicking things off at number 10, Hilary Duff. Former Disney star Hilary Duff is known to have lied about her age. Unlike many other celebs though, she didn't lie about her age to book a role. Hilary actually lied in order to get into clubs when she was younger. She revealed that when she was younger, she used her sister Haley's ID to get into clubs, though she was always recognized. I don't think people actually believed her lies when she was trying to get into clubs when she was underage. People probably just knew that she was famous and they let her in just to make themselves look better. Ironically, she's been on a show called Younger, and the series is literally about lying about your age. Talk about coincidence. I guess all that time faking her age really paid off in the long run. At number 9, Eminem. Rapper Eminem is caught lying about his age during a Howard Stern interview back in 1999. This was at the start of his career, so maybe he just wanted to start things off by having people think he's younger than he really is. In the interview, the rapper told Stern that he was 24, but later on people realized that he was born in 72, and at the time of the interview, he would have been 27. Some people thought that maybe he just forgot how old he was for real, but we may never know. Also, side note, I didn't know Eminem was that old. I've been here thinking he was like in his 30s for the longest time, but turns out he's almost 50. I'm honestly shocked. In at 8, Jennifer Lopez. Up next, we're talking about Jenny from the Block. J-Lo was caught lying about her age back in 1999. A lot of this stuff happens in 99. For a while, she had been telling people that she was born in 1970 and that she was 29 at the time. But following a nightclub shooting in 99, she and P. Diddy, her boyfriend at the time, were brought in for questioning, and that's when the truth came out about her age. When police ran her through the system, they noticed that her information didn't quite match up, and so she had to come clean and reveal that she's actually a year older than she claimed she was, and that she was born in 1969 and was actually 30 years old at the time of the incident. Now, don't get me wrong, J-Lo is still looking fuego, but why did she feel the need to shave off a year? Just 1 year doesn't really make much difference, but I guess she just wanted to live her 20s one last time. Coming in at number 7, Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is known for acting in productions like The Color Purple, Sister Act, and Star Trek Next Gen. She's played some pretty iconic roles, but did you know that she actually lied about her age to get a lot of these roles? Unlike many other stars who say that they're younger than they truly are to get ahead in the industry, Whoopi actually claimed to be 6 years older than she really was. Whoopi has said that she needed to pretend to be closer to her 40s in order to get a role. This lie started back in 1986 when the actress was 30, but told producers that she was 6 years older in order to book a job, so she claimed to have been born in 1949. This is not very common to see a celebrity say that they're older, since most of them want to preserve their youth in the media, but Whoopi did it to secure her bag, so props to you, Whoopi. In at 6, Jay-Z. There's been some confusion surrounding Jay-Z's age. On a radio talk show, host Troy Turan claimed that he and Jay-Z were actually the same age and were both 50. He went on to say that the idea that he was in his mid-40s was made up and that his real age was 50. A lot of people bought into that and just assumed that Jay-Z was lying and that he just wanted to seem younger than he really was. But then records came out showing that Jay-Z was in fact born in 1969, making him 44 years old when the speculation came about. But I think that he's still lying about his age. I think he's much older than that, since he's a high-ranking member of the Illuminati. This guy is for sure immortal, and maybe his records say that he was born in 1969, but really, he could have been born in 1769, and he's been alive ever since.
At number 5, we have Miley Cyrus. Now, if you're a big fan of Miley Cyrus, then you know that the star changed her name early in her life, but didn't make it official until much later. Born with the real name Destiny Hope Cyrus on November 23rd of 1992, her parents, Billy Ray Cyrus and Trish Cyrus, gave her her name because they knew she was destined for amazing things, and they were right. Since Cyrus was always smiling as an infant, her parents gave her the nickname of Smiley, and then the nickname would be shortened to Miley. She would then use the name when she launched her career on Disney Channel's Hannah Montana, and kept the name for her own singing career. In 2008, the star would then change her name from Destiny Hope Cyrus to Miley Ray Cyrus officially. At number 4, we have Emma Stone. It's easy to forget celebrities' names aren't actually always their real names. In addition to privacy, usually if an actor in your country is already using your name, you have to find a new one. In an interview with E!, Emma Stone talked about how she had to find her own new name after realizing her birth name, Emily Stone, was already taken by another actress. The star tried a bunch of names before finding the right one, and in the beginning, the actress actually chose to go by Riley Stone when she got a guest star role on Malcolm in the Middle. However, she kept forgetting to respond to her new name, which is fair enough because if I had to go by a different name, I would probably forget to respond to it as well. So ultimately, because the star's close friends and family were using the nickname of M, she decided to change her name to Emma Stone. At number 3, we have Lana Del Rey. Before she was a household name, Lana Del Rey was known as Lizzie Grant. However, her full name was Elizabeth Woolridge Grant. Before settling on her name, the star went by a different number of stage names such as Sparkle Jump Rope Queen and May Jailer. She finally was able to settle on the name Lana Del Rey during a trip to Miami with her sister. She realized she wanted a name that had sort of an exotic feel to it and that reminded her of the seaside of the Florida coast. So when she turned 25, she developed her alter ego, Lana Del Rey. And number 2, we have Drake. Born with the full name of Aubrey Drake Graham. When Drake starred in the Canadian high school drama TV series Degrassi: The Next Generation, he still went by Aubrey Graham. However, in 2006, he started to pursue his rap career, and the rapper dropped Aubrey and started to go by Drake. Like many musicians, the star chose a nickname to go by because it allowed him to have more control over his image and style. It also had a more catchy, memorable feel to it than his original name, even though his original name was beautiful. However, you have to admit, Aubrey Drake Graham is a bit of a mouthful, and Drake sounds like a strong, masculine man. Shortening his name was definitely a good business for the star. Plus, it's actually pretty common in the rapping industry to use your nickname other than your real name. At number 1, we have Shay Mitchell. So if you're a Pretty Little Liars fan, you may not know that Shay Mitchell's name isn't Shay, and that Shay is actually a short form for Shannon. In a Facebook Live interview with Glamour, Shay explained when she was in high school she loved Jennifer Lopez, and people would call her Shay-Lo. Shay would eventually drop the Lo because, let's face it, no one could ever be J-Lo or even compete to be J-Lo. However, it turns out that her nickname helped her in her professional life because when she went into a room, it was because of her unique name. The casting directors would always ask her about it, and it would get her another minute in the room. Shay also noted that her name change did provide her a valuable buffer between her personal and professional life. When the star started to go by Shay, she felt like it made her feel better and that there was a bit of a separation, and no one knew who Shannon Mitchell was. No matter what your name is or who you choose to go by, you have the chance to choose your own destiny. So own your name and make us all proud. At number 10, we have Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx's name started to trend when the actor revealed his name wasn't actually Jamie Foxx. The actor, born with the name Eric Marlon Bishop, decided to change his name so that he would be called up first during open mics. In stand-up comedy, women usually get called up first during open mics, so Jamie decided to change his name to a more gender-neutral name so he would be called up earlier. Jamie told David Letterman that he noticed it would be like 1,000 guys that would show up and only 3 girls, but these 3 girls would always get a spot, and then they would choose from a random list for the rest to perform. So the star changed his name so he could get a spot. Now, Jamie Foxx's real birth name has been out for quite a while now. However, a lot of people still don't know, and if you didn't, now you do. You're welcome. At number 9, we have John Legend. Now, this one came as a surprise to me because I had no idea John Legend used a fake name until now. Born with the real name John Roger Stevens, in 2018, John would tell MTV John Legend was a nickname some of his friends started calling him, and it would then quickly develop into his stage name. The star has pointed out that Legend is something he wouldn't have picked for himself originally. However, the nickname grew to the point more people in his circle would know him by, and that's why he chose to make the decision to change his name. The star did know it was a bet, however, to live up to his first name because he knew people would pay attention either way. However, he never knew it would actually make him a legend. Well, John, with the countless singles hitting the top 10 and being an inspiration to many, you definitely did live up to your name, and that's something to be extremely proud about. Number 8, we have Meghan Markle. Now, it's been a long time since Meghan went by anything other than the Duchess of Sussex. However, before Meghan Markle was in fact Meghan Markle, she was actually known as Rachel Meghan Markle. It's not clear to why the retired actress changed her name. However, in an interview back in 2017, she was asked if she had a middle name, and when she said yes, she stated her middle name was Meghan and that her first name was actually Rachel. Now, it's not uncommon for people to go by their middle names because sometimes it makes them a little more memorable. To me, I can definitely say Meghan Markle definitely has a better sound to it than Rachel Markle. Meghan has also been going by her name since she was in elementary school, so it could have been something she adopted by her parents. At number 7, we have Brad Pitt. Now, despite going by his middle name, the actor has introduced himself as William when he's flirting with unknown women. Born with the full name William Bradley Pitt, it's said that Pitt was named after his father, William Elvin Pitt. Brad ultimately decided to change his name to his middle name when he started to embark on his acting career. While some fans may have not known about his name change, it's still a worthy mention because you never know when he might approach you and use his real name. Back in 2018, Page Six reported Pitt was overheard introducing himself to a random group of women in a coffee shop as William. He proceeded to flirt with them. And if this so-called rumor is true and he does use William when flirting with women, you definitely don't want to mistake him for a look-alike and miss out on your opportunity with Hollywood's most eligible bachelors. At number 6, we have Rihanna. Musically, the singer has always gone by her middle name. Born with the full name Robin Rihanna Fenty, the artist told Rolling Stone that her family and close friends do still call her Robin, especially when they want her attention. And she gets kinda numb when she hears Rihanna and will typically ignore you if you do so. Ultimately, if you want to get the star's attention, you have to say Robin. But unless you're part of her circle, you probably shouldn't call the star by her real name. And honestly, it was definitely unique enough to make her one of the most remembered names in Hollywood, so you go girl.
Number 5, Charlie Sheen. Known for his hard partying reputation and scandalous life, Charlie Sheen has been making headlines since the early 90s. But the actor had some pretty good PR and really managed to clean up his image after an alleged overdose that scared him straight, going on to marry Denise Richards and landing a comfy role on 2.5 Men. Sheen became a certified sitcom star and eventually welcomed 2 daughters, which really restored his reputation. But behind closed doors, the actor was back to his old habits and worse than ever. It was then that his marriage completely crumbled and the former couple announced that they were divorcing. During a bitter custody dispute later that year, she claimed that he had physically and verbally attacked her and threatened to take her life. As a result, she received a restraining order against him. He was subsequently kicked off 2.5 Men and replaced with Ashton Kutcher, not to mention his infamous 2011 meltdown where he attacked director Chuck Lorre. After that, Sheen's secret life became exceedingly public as he stopped hiding the fact that he had adult film stars over to his house and kept up his very hardcore lifestyle. It's important to note that through all this, he has checked into rehab multiple times for substance misuse and made very real attempts to get his dependency under control. Number 4, Bill Cosby. The comedian was once known to millions as America's Dad, famous for his clean brand of family comedy and his award-winning work with children's programming. The Cosby Show, which was launched by NBC in 1984 and aired for 8 seasons, was his biggest success and established him as a household name. So when the first accusations surfaced in 2005, his public persona was so revered that he essentially walked away unscathed. It was only when other women, 13 to be exact, agreed to be witnesses that Cosby's double life was starting to be exposed. In the years following the first accusation, more than 50 women have come out claiming the star slipped them illicit substances and took advantage of them while they were unconscious. The women all had similar stories, which reportedly went back as far as almost 50 years. Finally, in April of 2018, the 80-year-old was found guilty of 3 counts of SA against Andrea Constand, the former Temple University women's basketball director who claimed that he attacked her in his home in 2004. Some kind of justice was served as the comedian was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. Although some of his defenders continue to support him, Cosby's name will forever be associated with his crimes. Number 3. Ellen DeGeneres. The stand-up comedian and veteran talk show host Ellen was nicknamed the Queen of Nice, with many people loving her signature catchphrase, "Be kind to one another," as well as her on-screen giveaways and vocal support of the LGBTQ+ community. But behind the curtain, Ellen was a very different person entirely. That all got revealed in March of 2020, when podcaster Kevin T. Porter asked people to post stories about her mean-spirited behavior, which completely opened the floodgates. The comedian was then slammed by past and present employees with accusations of enabling a toxic work culture when the cameras weren't rolling, and found herself engulfed in accusations of bullying behavior by not only staffers but past guests, with some insisting her mean nature is common knowledge among the Hollywood elite. DeGeneres addressed the infamous toxic workplace scandal that saw 3 of her most senior staffers axed from The Ellen Show. One TV writer claimed that Ellen required anyone who talks to her to chew gum from a bowl outside of her office first, and that she often sends staff home to shower if she thinks they smell. Because of the negative publicity she received, the comic has had to wrap up her hit talk show after 19 seasons on air. Number 2. Armie Hammer. Among the new stars who have recently graced the big screen, Armie Hammer really stood out. He had a wholesome image with an all-American crew cut and absolutely killed it in his role as the Winklevoss twins in The Social Network. But it was his part in Call Me By Your Name that really made him a global star. Nothing is ever as it seems though, and he was very good at disguising his dark side. In January, a series of text messages were leaked of him detailing his fantasies of cannibalism. The actor also accused of attacking multiple women and named a suspect in an LAPD case which is still under criminal investigation. His former intimate partner came forward claiming that Hammer viciously attacked her over a period of 4 hours. And not long after, his wife Elizabeth Chambers left him and the facade of their perfect marriage fell apart. She has even called him a monster. The actor was then dropped out of 2 high-profile projects and is now residing in a resort on the Cayman Islands, potentially until the police investigation is concluded. And last one, coming in at number 1, Harvey Weinstein. He was once the king of the indie film world and the producer who dominated Hollywood for decades. Harvey Weinstein won awards for producing iconic films like Trainspotting and Pulp Fiction, but the truth is that he used his immense power and influence in the film industry to take advantage of women throughout his career. There were rumors about his predatory behavior, but they were not necessarily known to the general public. In fact, most people only found out about his double life after his downfall. The scandal exploded in October of 2017 when the New York Times released a report revealing that Weinstein had reached financial settlements with 8 different women who had accused him of predatory behavior. He had tried to squash the allegations with money, but as soon as he was exposed for doing so, his life and career crumbled around him. He was fired from his firm, the Weinstein Company, just before 13 other women came forward with similar claims. His wife Georgina Chapman left him, and in May of 2018, he turned himself in to the New York City police to face criminal charges. In February 2020, he was handed a 23-year prison sentence.
And at number 10, David Letterman. Several old interview clips of David Letterman's have resurfaced in the last year, and many are saying that he crossed major lines. One example was with Lindsay Lohan in 2013. She did the interview recently out of rehab, and Letterman persistently asked her questions about it, even though she made it clear that she didn't want to be asked about it. However, he unfortunately kept pressing, leading her to cry. Next, he did an unfortunate interview with Janet Jackson. Letterman was pressing her about her infamous Super Bowl incident, asking her questions about how her wardrobe malfunction came to be. Right after she was asked about it, she replied, quote, "I don't want to relive any of that." But Letterman kept asking while Jackson looked like she wanted to be anywhere but there. This is literally the tip of the iceberg, and there are so many more horrendous moments with women that took place on his show. And at number 9, Michael Jordan. Basketball legend Michael Jordan is the idol of many who love the sport. But there's apparently a very rude and entitled side of him that one golf caddy saw firsthand. Allegedly, this golf caddy was caddying for Jordan the whole day. And at the end of the long and I'm sure stressful day, all the other players tipped their caddies, as that's the custom in golf. However, Michael Jordan did not tip his caddy, and the caddy's first thought was that maybe Jordan was unhappy with him and maybe he did a bad job for him. So he asked Jordan if everything was good, and he allegedly responded, quote, "What do you want? A tip? You should feel lucky to carry my clubs." And when rich people don't tip, it truly just ticks me off to a whole other level. Like, the entitlement is just so crazy. And at number 8, Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is a Disney star who is beloved by many for her kind personality. However, many fans were shocked to learn that she definitely has a mean side. One incident happened when a fan tweeted out saying how their goal in life was to have Dove notice her. And while that goal was achieved, but not in the way that she hoped. Dove ended up responding savagely to the fan, saying, quote, "That's a very small and unimportant life goal. And maybe if I notice you, you'll realize how unfulfilling that is and turn your phone off because celebrities don't matter. Go find yourself in nature and create your own life philosophy. Aim higher, babe." And if you interpret what she's saying the way that Dove was probably intending, it can be implied here that Dove just wanted the fan to realize that being noticed by Dove, wouldn't help her in life in any way, and to stop putting so much meaning on it. But obviously the way Dove said it was really harsh, and if I was the fan, I probably would have been heartbroken. And at number 7, Terry Hatcher. This one breaks my heart because I'm a huge fan of Desperate Housewives. I'm currently rewatching it right now. I'm on season 8 if anyone's wondering. But apparently on the set of the hit show, she was known as the mean girl, and all the leading ladies got along except for her. One of her co-stars told the creator of Desperate Housewives that she was the, quote, "meanest woman in the world." She was not only a pain on the show, but on practically all of her projects, and she now has a reputation for a bad attitude. Back when she was filming Tomorrow Never Dies, co-star Pierce Brosnan called her out for never being on time. Luckily, she's a good enough actress that people put up with her bad attitude on set. And at number 6, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has a reputation for being controversial and saying whatever's on his mind, regardless of the consequences. But this behavior has earned him a reputation of being mean, specifically towards Meghan Markle. And there's actually a dating story behind it that makes the whole thing even more juicy. Apparently the two went on a date and Meghan ghosted him afterwards, spawning his hatred of her. Most recently, after Meghan's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, Piers did not hold back, trashing her on Good Morning Britain. Before him, the other host could even discuss the topic. He went on raging about how the interview is tarnishing the reputation of Britain around the world and hurting everything the Queen has worked so hard for. After the outrage from viewers, Piers decided to step down from the show. Halfway at number 5, Lucille Ball. Legendary actor Lucille Ball was a lot meaner in real life than you probably expected from seeing her work on screen. Many of her characters were funny and down to earth, however, she was anything but. Allegedly, the moment camera stopped rolling, her light personality just disappeared, and she was completely rude to anyone on set who also wasn't a star. One of the worst instances of this is a story from when she was on an airplane. Allegedly, while the flight attendant was talking to her, the assistant replied, quote, "I'm sorry, Miss Ball doesn't speak to the help." Richard Burton also trashed her in his diaries, where he wrote, quote, "She's a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor. She's a tired old woman that lives entirely on that weekly show, which she's been doing and successfully doing for 19 years. In at number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is a child star that I've been watching ever since I was a preteen. And even though he was known for being goofy and lovable in his child stardom days, in real life he's completely different. Shia is known for being pretty intense in real life, and his violent attitude has caused him to get in trouble with the law on multiple occasions. Shia is also a thief and was accused of plagiarizing an entire screenplay. Basically, he copied the entire screenplay of Daniel Clowes and just changed the name, hoping nobody would notice. But thankfully, people did notice. More recently, Shia is also being sued by his ex-partner, FKA Twigs, for harmful and toxic behavior. After FKA Twigs came forward, other women, including Sia, backed up the claims. In at number 3, Terry Hatcher. This one breaks my heart because I'm a huge fan of Desperate Housewives, but apparently on set she was the mean girl, and all the leading ladies got along except for Hatcher. During the filming of Desperate Housewives, she was known for being an issue on set. One of the co-stars told the creator of Desperate Housewives that she was the meanest woman in the world. She was not only a pain on the show, but practically all of her projects. And she now has a reputation for a bad attitude. Back when she was filming Tomorrow Never Dies, co-star Pierce Brosnan called her out for never being on time. I guess Terry really must have been a phenomenal actress to have played the lovable Susan Myers so well. Let me know below if you like Desperate Housewives. That is one of my all-time favorite shows. And at number 2, Bruce Willis. A lot of people probably don't expect Bruce Willis to be a nice guy, but they also don't expect him to be as mean as he actually is. A lot of his fellow actors have refused to work with him, although not many of them will expose why. Kevin Smith was one of the few that did, and claimed that working with Willis was a quote, soul-crushing experience. Then adding, quote, it was difficult. I've never been involved in a situation like that where one component is not in the box at all. And I think we can interpret that to mean that he's not a team player and plays by his own rules when working. One example of this is he apparently refused to pose for promotional photos for one of his movies, leaving the crew scrambling to find a replacement. And finally at number 1, Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz is so unapproachable to fans that she was actually ranked one of the worst people ever to ask for an autograph or picture. Apparently, instead of just saying no like anybody else, she lectures fans on why asking for autographs is stupid and an invasion of privacy. People also dislike her because of this strange story from a Drew Barrymore party. Apparently at the party, Diaz spent the whole time outside smoking, but she didn't share any cigarettes when people asked, and didn't really talk to anyone else at the party. And obviously not sharing a cigarette isn't the worst thing ever, but it definitely isn't friendly. And at number 10, Kiefer Sutherland. I best know Kiefer Sutherland from his role on 24, where he was a total badass who did what he needed to do to save the country, much to the dismay of his colleagues. But apparently that aspect of the role is also true in real life, and his colleagues have shared their disdain for the star on occasion. According to an interview with Freddie Prinze Jr., he claimed that Sutherland was very unprofessional and that he hated working with him on 24. Prinze Jr. said, quote, I did 24 and it was terrible. I hated every moment of it. Adding, quote, Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. That's not me talking trash. I'd say that to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. And that's actually true. Another co-star spoke about her disdain for Sutherland, saying, quote, I'm afraid that working with him proved to be hard. That young man was pretty angry. It wasn't just me. He was angry with others too. At the end of the day, I thought he must be angry with himself, and that's how he projects it. So clearly, he's the last person that you want to be working on a set with. And at number 9, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is one of the more mysterious actors in the business, specifically his affiliation with the Church of Scientology. There are also a lot of rumors that he was very possessive with Katie Holmes during their relationship, and even put strict guidelines on what she could and could not do. Then after the divorce, things didn't get much better. She wasn't allowed to see other men right away, and apparently she couldn't reveal her relationship with Jamie Foxx at the time, until Tom Cruise said she was allowed to. She also apparently was not allowed to travel with their daughter. She wasn't even allowed to talk to Nicole Kidman, Cruise's other ex. And of course, he can also be incredibly mean to crew members on the sets of his movie. Like very recently when it was exposed that he had screamed at the top of his lungs to some crew members that were not social distancing on one of his sets. And regardless if they were breaking the rules, it's never okay to scream at people like that. And at number 8, Mel Gibson. Even though many people love seeing Mel Gibson on screen, he has a dark and controversial past. Mel Gibson was temporarily blacklisted from Hollywood after it was exposed that he was a mean person who said racially insensitive things in the past. In 2006, he was arrested for a DUI. During the arrest, he went on an anti-Semitic rant. Then later in 2010, Gibson screamed racist remarks, including using the N-word at the mother of one of his 9 children. And even before all that, he had been accused of using homophobic language. On one occasion, Colbert reported that Gibson was, quote, strikingly lacking in apologies. These are just a few of many examples of Mel Gibson treating people terribly. And at number 7, Jason Segel. Jason Segel probably seemed like the most lovable person in all of Hollywood. Like, how is it possible that Marshall from How I Met Your Mother could be a mean person? But apparently, he's really rude to fans. In one instance, he reportedly slammed a car door in a fan's face after that fan asked to take a photo with him. Then according to Radar Online, Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel were incredibly rude at the premiere for one of their movies. Some insiders actually revealed that the actors' attitudes were disgusting at the event and they were incredibly rude to fans. And at number 6, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is a well-respected actor. However, some other comedians don't think so highly of him. Comedian Tommy Davidson shared a few questionable stories about Jamie Foxx in his memoir. The two first met on the set of the sketch comedy show In Living Color, but Foxx apparently took things way too far multiple times to get a laugh. Apparently one time for a sketch, Foxx actually ripped off Davidson's underwear during filming without telling him beforehand, leaving Davidson completely naked on set, saying his humor is mercilessly mean. As a result of that, the two had a tense relationship on the set, That tension even spilled over to a movie that they worked on in 1997 called Booty Call.
Halfway number 5, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is a celebrity with mixed reviews. Tons of people say she's down to earth and loves her fans, while others have shared some negative experiences with the star. One person shared their experience working with Minaj on set, writing, quote, "I worked with Nicki Minaj before, and while on a set with her, I was told not to look her in the face. She also had people move out of the room before she would come in the room. It was a whole ordeal." And at number 4, Miles Teller. Miles Teller being on this list should not be a shock to anyone, because he is constantly called out for his horrible behavior. Even reporters that have interviewed him have called him entitled and rude. He's even trashed well-loved and respected actors like John Cusack. When a reporter told him they are similar actors, Teller replied, quote, "I guess we look alike. We did some similar movies. He wasn't traditionally good looking, who was offbeat and quirky but confident. I get it, but I don't want his career." And people who have met him in real life have had similar experiences. They wrote, quote, "I met Miles Teller at a bar. He told my friend to buy him a drink and he still refused to take a picture with him. He ended up smacking my phone out of my hand, and I'll never watch a movie with him in it again." And at number 3, Jim Belushi. One fan shared just how terrible Jim Belushi was to them after they waited hours for an autograph. To make it worse, one of Belushi's co-stars was incredibly nice and made the contrast even worse. They wrote, quote, "Years ago us kids waited for Jim Belushi and John Candy after they shot Only the Lonely in Chicago. Asked Belushi for an autograph and he literally called us a bunch of pieces of stupid kids and to get the F out of there. Then came Candy with a big old smile and a cigar hanging out of his mouth, and he spent the next 10 minutes signing autographs and thanking all of his fans." And at number 2, Alec Baldwin. Given all the scandals that Alec Baldwin has been in, it's no surprise that he's notoriously rude. He's attacked paparazzi, gotten in physical fights with hecklers, and he's been known to be very arrogant. One Reddit user spoke of their interaction and wrote, quote, "One day in the Hamptons I ran into Alec Baldwin and his wife and their 2 dogs. I was 6, so I wanted to pet their dogs. Mind you, they left their dogs outside of the store, so I didn't know they were theirs. They quickly yanked their dogs away from me and yelled at me. I was 6. That just proves the kind of people they are. I mean, who gets mad at a kid for petting a dog that you left outside? And finally, at number 1, Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons is apparently so awful in real life, multiple Reddit users shared negative experiences with him. One user said, quote, "My brother met Gene Simmons backstage at a show he was playing in. Gene complimented my brother highly on his guitar playing, but then said, quote, 'Too bad you'll never make it,' and just walked away." Another person told the story of his dad running into Simmons after one of his Kiss shows. The dad complimented Simmons on the show, and he replied, quote, "I hope the next time you're sucking to impress someone you pucker up more," and then walked off. My dad was pissed and told his friends it was time to go, and the bartender stopped them on their way out. Before he left, Gene and his entourage told the bartender that my dad was paying for their drinks. It cost my dad almost $100 to pay for their alcohol.
And at number 10, Jesse James. Actor Jesse James has somewhat of a reputation for being mean towards his partners in relationships. In 2010, it was revealed that while he was married to Sandra Bullock, he cheated on her with multiple partners. To make things worse, the cheating happened while the couple was trying to adopt a child. And of course, after a betrayal like that, Bullock divorced him in June of 2010. And after this, he decided to couple up with one of the women that he cheated with while married, Kat Von D. The two ended up getting engaged and were headed for marriage until it was exposed that he was cheating on her too. I guess Kat should have listened to that old saying, how you get him is how you lose him. Or once a cheater, always a cheater. Both good sayings. And at number 9, Gwyneth Paltrow. It should come as no surprise that Gwyneth Paltrow isn't very nice because almost everything she does is surrounding being better than other people. Like her diet, which does not include coffee, alcohol, dairy, eggs, sugar, corn, shellfish, fish, wheat, meat, and soy. I literally don't know what else there is to eat other than just vegetables. She also touts insane diet and lifestyle rituals that are just completely out of reach for the average person. And she can be pretty rude at restaurants. While in London, she went to a Michelin star restaurant and insulted the chef by saying, quote, "I can't eat this crap. Let's just go to my suite and order room service." Also, there's this rumor that she stole the lead role in Shakespeare in Love from her ex-BFF, Winona Ryder, because she stole the script from their joint apartment. And if that's true, that is so shady. And at number 8, Edward Norton. Edward Norton has a reputation for being really rude, and honestly, I'm not too surprised. Apparently, his bad attitude on set is the reason why Marvel cut him as the Hulk in the Avengers. The president of Marvel Studios told Hitflix.com that Norton wasn't a team player. and that the studio was, quote, looking for an actor willing to work side by side with a star-studded cast. I guess that means he either got intimidated with the stars or pissed them off so much that they requested he be cut. In the interview, the Marvel exec made sure to confirm that money was not the issue here, literally just his attitude. In at number 7, Zooey Deschanel. Zooey Deschanel seems like a quirky sweetheart in her movies, but people in the industry think of her completely differently. Her castmates over the years have called her words like nasty, moody, and unhappy. So clearly not what most people are expecting. Apparently her worst behavior on set is from bad scheduling. Anyone in showbiz knows that filming pretty much always goes over time, but apparently Zooey would get really bratty when this happened. And instead of doing her best work to get things done sooner, she would just throw a fit, stop shooting, and sometimes even leave the set before things were finished. This behavior could be why she isn't in many projects anymore. And at number 6, Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard seems pretty nice on screen, but he's committed a lot of horrible crimes in his past in real life. In 2001, he hit his first wife, Lori McComas, because apparently she was speaking to him too strongly. Then in 2005, he hit his second wife, Michelle Gent. But sadly, this was not his only incident with that wife. In 2010, Gent claimed that Howard threw her across a hotel room and also threatened to throw her over the railing. Apparently, his terrible behavior also shows up on set and is the reason that he was cut from Iron Man. Apparently, he demanded more money from the franchise, but left when he couldn't get it. He blamed Robert Downey Jr. for years after, even though Downey Jr. had actually advocated for equal pay for everyone on the Avengers set. So it really didn't add up. Halfway at number 5, Kiefer Sutherland. Apparently, Sutherland had a lot in common with his 24 character, Jack Bauer, as both of them constantly got on the nerves of their colleagues. According to an interview with Freddie Prinze Jr., he claimed that Sutherland was very unprofessional and he hated working with him on 24. Prinze Jr. said, quote, "I did 24, it was terrible. I hated every moment of it," with him adding that Sutherland was the most unprofessional person that he ever worked with. And he felt so sternly about it, he would say it to his face if he ever confronted him about it. Another co-star also spoke about her disdain for Sutherland, saying that working with him was very hard because he's a very angry person, angry with himself and others, which he took out on anyone who got in his way. And at number 4, Patrick Dempsey. McDreamy was the lovable and kind hero in the hit show Grey's Anatomy, but his behavior when the cameras were not rolling was completely different. And apparently he was such a diva, he ended up being fired from the show. Shonda Rhimes, the show's creator, head writer, executive producer, and showrunner, announced that she adopted a, quote, no a-holes policy, apparently after working with Dempsey. Allegedly, a big part of the reason that he was fired is because he was disrespectful to the crew of the show. When he was killed off the 15th season, fans were shocked, but those close to the show knew it was a long time coming. A source close to the situation told Radar Online that Rhimes had no choice but to fire Dempsey. Quote, he had been showing up late and was holding up production because he couldn't remember his lines. And at number 3, Hailey Bieber. Hailey Bieber was called out by TikTok influencer Julia Carolan when Julia made a video series exposing celebrities that were rude to her while she was working as a hostess at a popular Manhattan restaurant. In the video, she commented on Kylie Jenner and the Hadid sisters, and when it came to Hailey Bieber, she rated her interactions with Hailey to be a 3.5 out of 10. Saying in the video, quote, "This is gonna be controversial. I've met her a handful of times and she was not nice. I really wanted to like her, but I give her a 3.5 out of 10, sorry." But most shockingly, Hailey actually responded in the comments of the TikTok, apologizing for the situation. Responding in the comments that Hailey was so sorry if she'd given Julia a bad vibe or attitude. It's hard to say if this was just a bad interaction or a pattern of behavior, but it's great to see that Hailey apologized. And at number 2, Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray is someone who I'm not too surprised to see on this list, because from watching her show, I never really got the vibe that she was trying to be really nice. The celebrity chef is known for being pretty brutal, and she doesn't have much of a filter when dealing with people. That's why negative interactions are pretty common with her. One encounter came from someone who was working in a mall while she was visiting for a book signing. Basically, they were both sitting there just waiting around, and there was an awkward silence, and like a lot of other people would have done in that situation, he just decided to, spark up some conversation, make some casual small talk, and ask her how her day was going. And apparently, without even looking up from her phone, she replied, quote, "Don't talk to me." Yikes. And finally, at number 1, Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry is best known as the lovable Chandler from Friends, but his personality in real life is anything but. And sadly, an intern found that out the hard way. Apparently he showed up to the studio because he was on a press tour, but when Perry arrived, he threw a huge tantrum and refused to participate in the press tour. And apparently all that stress that was put on the people working there was because they didn't get him the sugar-free Red Bull that he requested. Even though he didn't want to do the interview, he was forced to because of a contract. But he made sure to do the absolute bare minimum, and he was terrible on camera. Then when he went to leave, he refused to use the car his publicist got him because it wasn't up to his standards, and he got his own car instead. And apparently after all that, his publicist was in tears. I don't blame her, I probably would be too.
And at number 10, Oprah. This is one that was incredibly shocking to me because Oprah is one of the most beloved people in the world, and other celebrities are constantly singing her praises, sharing how down-to-earth and nice Oprah is in real life. But it seems that Oprah might act a little differently when the cameras are not rolling, or when she's not talking to another celebrity. A waiter that served Oprah for lunch shared their eye-rolling encounter with the TV host. They wrote on Reddit, quote, "Oprah didn't tip me on a $200 lunch. Instead, she signed a napkin for me and acted like she was doing me a huge favor. The kicker was when she walked in, they gave away all of my other tables so she didn't have to wait for anything. So I made $4 an hour for 2 hours for the privilege of serving Oprah." And she went on and on about signing a napkin that I never even asked for. It still makes me so mad when I hear that celebrities do not tip. Like, Oprah is a billionaire. She can afford to tip. It's so outrageous. And at number 9, Chevy Chase. This one is less of a shock because it's well known that Chevy Chase is not the greatest guy, although he plays lovable characters on screen. Many of his former SNL castmates have spoken out against him, and he was even banned from the show for his problematic behavior. One Reddit user shared that he is just as awful in real life. They wrote, quote, "I saw Chevy Chase at a hotel once as a small 9-year-old, and I love the National Lampoon's Vacation movies. When I asked for his autograph, he verbally went off on me. When my dad came over, he went off on him. He said something messed up, which is that my dad wasn't raising me right. The dude is a straight up jerk." And at number 8, Randy Jackson. Randy Jackson is another star I only ever heard good things about. He was known for being the good guy on American Idol compared to Simon Cowell, who was notoriously savage towards contestants. But this might be another case of a celebrity being completely two-faced, acting nice and friendly while on camera, but being completely different when cameras are not rolling. One Reddit user shared a behind-the-scenes look at Randy during a children's hospital event. Quote, "Randy Jackson was invited to a telethon hosted by a hospital for children with disabilities, where my little sister lived until she passed away. Whenever the cameras were off, he'd hide in his hotel room and seem disgusted with the kids. He didn't want anything to do with them. When the cameras were on though, he was all smiles and hugs. It was so disheartening and disappointing to witness. It was over 10 years ago and I still remember it to this day." And at number 7, Carrie Underwood. This one honestly breaks my heart. This person, who has seen a ton of celebrities in their workplace, said that Carrie Underwood was by far the worst. They wrote, quote, "I worked as a maintenance worker at a concert venue for a few summers and I bumped into several celebrities. But Carrie Underwood is the one who sticks out because of how demanding she always was. She refused to use a toilet if someone else had sat on the seat before her, so we had to buy new toilet seats every time she came. Considering how much we already had to fix, the last thing we wanted to do was pointlessly replace perfectly good toilet seats. In contrast, Reba McEntire would always eat lunch with the staff and was always super chill." Can you imagine how entitled you have to be to demand like a new toilet basically? I cannot believe the venue agreed to do that for her. And at number 6, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is a famous actor and producer that fans might not know that much about. However, many celebrities have shared just how open-hearted and kind that he is. Specifically, when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey after leaving the royals, they shared that they were on the verge of being homeless with no security. However, Tyler Perry offered them his LA home to live in, along with giving them security until they were able to work it out. What an amazing guy, right? Well, apparently he doesn't treat normal people as nice. A person who worked to promote Perry's movie Boo! A Madea Halloween in 2016 shared his strange behavior and long list of demands. Apparently Perry flew private to the event with 13 of his staff. They were all forced in the back of the plane while he had the entire front to himself. They added, quote, "His team sent our local agency a long list of demands and rules in anticipation of his arrival. Tyler wanted to be addressed referred to as Mr. Perry. We were prohibited to speak to him directly, only to his team. Room temperature orange Gatorade had to be in his green room. Furniture wasn't allowed in his press interview suite. All media and press had to travel to him. Mr. Perry would not leave the hotel, and he wouldn't wait for anyone." The person added that his entire team seemed terrified of him.
Halfway number 5, Tobey Maguire. If you guys watched the movie Molly's Game, then you already know that Tobey Maguire is a really bad guy. Maguire was portrayed in the movie as Player X, the best and worst poker player at the game. Molly Bloom spoke more openly about him in her book. In her book, she said Maguire is the, quote, worst tipper, the best player, and the absolute worst loser. Maguire also reportedly tried to humiliate her and asked her to bark for $1,000. If the movie is true to what actually happened in real life, the entire reason that Molly's poker game collapsed was because Tobey Maguire took the game from her. This apparently happened because Molly did not flirt with him, even though it seemed that he was interested in her. In at number 4, Patrick Dempsey. McDreamy was the lovable and kind hero in the hit show Grey's Anatomy, but his behavior when the cameras were not rolling was completely different. And apparently he was such a diva that he ended up being fired from the show. Shonda Rhimes, the show's creator, head writer, executive producer, and showrunner, announced that she had adopted a no a-holes policy, apparently after working with Dempsey. Allegedly, a big part of the reason that he was fired is that he was disrespectful to the crew of the show. When he was killed off on the 15th season of the show, fans were shocked, but those close to the show knew it was a long time coming. A source close to the situation told Radar Online that Rhimes had no choice but to fire Dempsey, saying, quote, he had been showing up late and was holding up production because he couldn't remember his lines. In at number 3, Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones' personality in real life might not actually be very different than what he portrays in some of his movies. And he's actually a pretty rude person in real life. Throughout his entire career, he's rarely been seen taking pictures with beloved fans or signing autographs. Journalists have also said that he's known to be very grumpy while doing interviews with them, and a lot of journalists actually refuse to do interviews with him because he's known for cutting them off and even walking out on some occasions. Once during an interview for GQ magazine, he actually made a reporter cry while he was cracking walnuts with his bare hands. Very odd. But the time he actually got the most hate from fans was when he said about Jim Carrey, quote, I hate you. I really don't like you. I cannot sanction your buffoonery. And like, seriously, how can you hate on Jim Carrey? From what I know, he's a very nice guy. I don't think we've ever had him on one of these lists. In at number 2, Spike Lee. Even though Spike Lee is well respected in the industry, that doesn't mean he is well liked. Apparently he's very rude to all the people around him, including fellow celebrities and fans. One time he was giving a public lecture at a university, and he ended up running through the speech and finished an hour earlier than planned. And even though he had all that free time, he refused to answer any audience questions, even though there was supposed to be a Q&A segment. According to stories and various sources, this kind of behavior isn't rare. During the 2019 Academy Awards, he stormed out because his film BlacKkKlansman didn't take home the Best Picture award, even though he was given the Best Director award for the same movie. And finally, at number 1, William Shatner. William Shatner is a well-respected actor who gained notoriety for his role of Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise in the Star Trek franchise. But we all got to see just how much he is actually hated in Hollywood during his 2006 Comedy Central roast. Apparently, the other stars were very excited about the roast because it gave them a great opportunity to share how they really felt about him with no repercussions. Apparently, the cast of Star Trek also hated him, and during filming he was nicknamed Captain Jerk, especially after he missed Leonard Nimoy's funeral.